I feel deeply honored and overwhelmed by the joy of seeing so many of you from as far away as the republics of Botswana and South Africa and elsewhere, all of whom have interrupted your daily schedules just to be with me and the Overhero Traditional Authority for this historic event. Bashamba yoroka shinene mwenyorikana okiyo kuhakaina kuno bengi mbadu kokure kudako shawana no South Africa okiyo kukapu na ete meyuwa ewaro njoro kandi kwena ami na wina kwena uhona pare wabaherero meyuwa ina makuru hungindi. I sincerely do appreciate your presence here. We shall leave an indelible memory in me, and I hope that we shall have a wonderful celebration together.
Amimesha okuhepa numba nyanuka mumunyoshi nene kokusha enemwe yake yubandinondi nuwina mekamura kokusha matukara pamwe monjoroka njihina hindi maidembwa moulide mpuruka wetu.
We are here mainly to celebrate my appointment and inauguration as the next paramount chief of the Overhero people, which took place towards the end of 2014, and for which a celebratory event of this one, like this one, has never been organized before.
Ndirondi tweyamba okwe kukaramo mukandi wa madhikiro wanje o madhikiro nganga chitwa mombulanja luko kuta komandero wayo pothio kuja ochichitwa chonjoro kasho mukandi shinambwi chichi hina indi shakarapo chiche kulikama meyubandino.
I hope that for those of you who have not been able to witness the whole process of how it is done and by whom, the verbal explanation that was given by Chief Kapuo, or the few things that you have seen today being performed by our High Priest, will have given you a bit of a feel of how an Overhero Paramount Chief is chosen and celebrated.
Mekamura kuzakwene ngahino shibambe halipo behamwine kwimbi mbyara isi wa iyo mbara omuhamitho bihabero Kapuo kokusapakao njabi na imbi ndino ndimbi mwa munu komeho mbyara abishitwa iyo ndangere yetu mutu byara isa nawo ukahu kokusha ombaro shitambi yomuhoko ishitwabi.
I'm sure that today many ears and eyes are set upon me with great expectation or reasonable curiosity to hear what I would say at this occasion, and in that context, I shall try my level best to point out to some of the things that I intend doing as the Paramount Chief of the Overhero people in Namibia and in the diaspora.
Mekamura kokushabi omeho enu wabengindinondi yerimba amaetara no kunja kokushabi mamu munu po mamu bushike bima bidu kwa myeso munane wenu pothi okusha meroro sapume enene okumura isira kokushabi obi kwa shike bime konjo nabyo okuyenenitha odondero dendo shombaro shitambi yomuhoko Overhero ombuli mokote hindinondi naimba behemberi momahi omararangandano penje hindinondi.
Let us make one thing very clear. The Overhero people and I have not declared any war against any other traditional authority or their leadership, nor against our government.
Amemeango kushandinondi tukahurure na woshina shimwe shiduba kena wauka huko kushabi oshiwana jobaherero pamwe no unane wanje kabena puba vikamisa oshitandi kuno biwana byarwe odonjodarwe do wingona poma uhona pare warwe kaparuka de ulili nuwina rukwao katuna indi twashita nao kuno horomende njiri poyo yuwana.
In fact, and on the contrary, I want to do things that are of mutual interest and benefit to our government, our people and country in a spirit of partnership.
Nungwali okukaonja odombamba pamwe no horomende ete tuango kamisa pobina bima biye nene okuvatera no kukaonja pamwe no horomende shinene momakongo makisiro wehuporo bandu betu.
Developmental issues, be they national or in a particular traditional area, cannot be done by a government or a traditional authority alone, as they both, in my opinion, begs for a mutual and complementary synergy.
Oina bima bitunu kome kurisiro wo muhoko kama abichitwa iyo horomendo yiniko ulike po nandali nembo uhona pare ogaherero kuo uni nangwali bihe pako kushabi tukaonje pamwe indi chitwa kutunde pangondo ochima bienene okutoma.
The government should take it from me that we shall regard it always as a friend.
Amimeanga kushohoromende ili kamisena wakuda kwamiko kushabi ete aruhe matu ibara oshepanga
with a common cause and a common purpose.
Nangwali mbutu no ndando imwe no muhunga umwe wokungula
and not an enemy.
Nangwali katubana bitakako
but also as one that we would like to do business with.
Nuwina rukwao oshawe mwe bumatu hepa okungula pamwe obyongorongoba.
Having said that,
Simba unakusha nao
we have recently submitted our application for recognition to the newly appointed Minister for Urban and Rural Development.
Simba unakushana etenai fight thiromani ngiriro weto upe ko Minister injo mbenja likamithirwenji yonge kulithiro bihuro pamweno tukondwa tukodo mbanda.
And the new minister has, with uncharacteristic haste and efficiency, responded to us.
Nongwali injo minister nokuhina ngura menombwa
no o minister no hakahana jihashu kwa muhoromende yetu aye neno kutudira muiri yakamanga jihashu kwa muhoromende yene no kudira mogoiri pomo mayuange tamburi indaro unjo dombura no miede Ofio minister nje tudiri muri wa mayuba uri. And the answer of the minister was,
Nediri loro minister asherenai
that he stands by the response of his predecessor, the previous minister, General Namolo, that the Ovahereros must remain boxed in the Aminu's reserve of Namibia.
Eye wakurama pokurame nonja pitithiwa iyo muna nengwa lipo o minister General Namolo yokusha o unane uwana pale o manane no Ovaherero nga ukale moka huki kamongwa uliliporwe.
Because that is the so-called choice that was made by our late paramount chief.
Menala kushavi injo onja kubu onja kalira ongura menno nja tororwa onja likamisiwa iyo mbara nja kapita oshitambi.
I want to make it absolutely clear to the whole world today.
Amemeanga oku peka hurura na waukahu ndinondi kouye au hembulimba
that the so-called choice of Aminuis that is alleged to have been made by the late paramount chief Rukoro was merely for administrative purposes and was never meant as a so-called area of jurisdiction of the Ovaherero Traditional Authority.
Omalika mithiro womamarero wohona pare Ovaherero okudika mithiro momungwa yalimena lokushavi onjima ilire ombero yo mananeno nungwalika apeheko kushavi ombuli imbo uparanga o uhona pare o puaso kuparanga mo uparanga we hindi nondi.
I repeat, the choice of Aminuis was merely for administrative purposes. It's like your headquarters, your head office. But it was never meant as a so-called area of jurisdiction of the Ovaherero Traditional Authority. Know the fact that all of the Ovahereros in the whole of Namibia must now be uprooted and go and live in Aminuis and be governed from Aminuis.
Omalika mithiro uhona pare Ovaherero sha utorora ko kushavinga hino maukana neno momungwa ya omalika mithiro wao yalimena lokushavi onjima iliro mbero onene yomana neno uli kapeheko kushavi ngahino orukombo rwetu romana neno kashiperikako nuwina kapeheko kushavi ochiwana chihe chichaparanga mo ukote hindi nondi Ovaherero mbewake hiyo uhona pare mavetho kutake wako tukondwaho abe pakurwa abe twarwa komongwa alilemu baka undulirwamo kuchavethoro kunanirwamo kashiperikako.
Moreover, the law that the minister is supposed to administer provides clearly that the authority of chiefs is not territorially or geographically based, but it is rather based on their subjects irrespective of locality.
Nawina ovetanji o minister nji afokusha na nji inana nayo itwapo nawo ukahuko kushavi o mananeno wombara kae kamene po kae kuramene kokushavi ngahino vetho kukala no rukondwa kaani ro mananeno nangwali hivi kamisa nawo ukahuko kushabi omana neno ombara yeparanga osapimbo bandu eye muni benana
kushabiri
indi kusha ngahino batula kushinde mwimbo uparanga wehi.
To conclude otherwise is to implement ethnically or tribally based Bandustans in an independent Namibia in violation of our constitution.
Omundu simwango kuhingira na wokahu mwano warwe ponambo okusana mbano mape ango kukotorwa odo horomende do hoko hoko ali nenda kotorwa mokote hiretu onamepia nuihi ochina chicha nakaurwa iyo ngunde beta ye hiretu onamepia.
Worst of all, it is being imposed on the very people, the Ovaherero of Hosea Kutako, who was the first traditional leader to stand up and reject Bandustans during the colonial era, while others accepted it.
Kombanda ya ibyo binabiho kulira on nabi mo pomuno yoyayi na ijena bano
bihamze mutima.
Kombanda ya ibyo binabihe no bihamise umutima bo bitetalise engo mutima obandumba bumabe bango kushitwa nao imba bumabe bango kuninikiriwa befe pondondo njo obombo bakashikururume Hosea Kutako eyengwa nakaura kaparu kade no kuhina kuibaiba injomba nguyo umuhoko no horomende umuhoko hoko ngunda imbo barwe awe yakura
Mona mipia nje uhura wakwetu bakura kashikururume ngwara mutenga munane mutenga mudorondu okushakako ko horomende nda inda do Bandustana da de akura mehiro wampo ko njomba na barwe eya panta okweta be yakura dino ndimo na bipyo ngutuke makuba baherero mpaka shikururume na mbangarire baka nikiro mohoromende inda do utukondwa dadi kamina ko muhoko hoko bando baherero betu mbiri mokahaja kabena kutana ukama maendo. Our government must come clean on the hidden agenda they have against my people. But unionist Bandustans we shall not accept. Not today, not tomorrow, and not ever.
Ohoramende etu ngaiye ukahuke uliri ohungano shinao johoromende umuhoko hokohi mbabu mayo ango utuninikira mu Rukoro mungwa ete matu nakaura no kuhina
inashike no shwamba
matu nakaura no matu ango kushwa kushabi hapo inashike no shiwanda hi chishitira nao nete matu nakaura kaparu kade uliri okuda kundinondi nandali ekumuhuka nganduko ngaruhe injo katuna kulita weda okuli anjera yo uliri kaparu kade.
The allegation that Advocate Rukoro wants to expand his jurisdiction to other regions is therefore not true.
Makumini nino ngagesha vi Advocate Rukoro uwanga oku paranga motu kondwa twarwe kawashiri kaparu kade uli.
In my application for recognition, I have stated the geographical or political or statutory regions of Namibia in which I have followers.
Ami momaningiriro ngumba hitiza kuinjo horomende baraisa nawa oukahu otukondwa urutu twazikamisi wa hiyo horomende otonai mumutura obantu mberi obana nwabanje
namely
nototohwi
osho njupa Omaheke, Erongo, Okunene, and of which, even as I'm speaking to you now, the traditional representatives are sitting here amongst us today.
Otukondo utumbalo nokutwa kwa hui, amindilo ndijime hingire nai, ovakula mene povato, mbena na motukondwa ho vanane otukondwa ho, opuveri, ndino ndiva hama moka tiketumba ndino.
Are these chiefs and these people, you, all of you, domiciled in Aminuis constituency?
Hapo Mbaranda na ene amuhe bumuli mbana ishimwa hamanai. Eno batule vamongwa ulilipo inde.
Mr. Government, there is the answer. They are not.
Ediri Rolando muhende ndu oromende kavatule vamongwa porwe.
In fact, I even forgot to mention the Falkhras constituency in the Karas region.
Amenoho baharuku themba okuraisa na wauka huko kushavi wina rukwao tunovaherero vetu imba betu ya Falkrasa
who regard themselves as bona fide of Herero, whose ancestors were merely displaced by von Trotter's war of extermination.
No, wina rukwao owamberi vara na wako kushavi ovaherero posina ngoli varimbwa injo njembo yakachivichi ovanga onja pida nao kuchaveka karengo.
They are also crying for recognition.
Wina mawe ningireko kushavi vedemburukwe.
Who will deny the fact that Chief Kahikopo and his traditional community hail from and are domiciled in Ochimbingwe, in the Erongo region and not in Aminuis?
Ounengu wapatasana kukushavi ombaraka hikopo na imbo wananwa vehe oba tule vashimbingwe bekara morukondora rongo nungoli kaba mongwa.
And by the same token, who will deny the fact that the following chiefs, Kavari Watuero, Kapuo Wawitoto, Kavei Wangama, Shivau Wakakarara, Shipene Kea Wakonjato, Hambure Wamashete, Shingaete Washombinde, Navarwe, to name just a few, and their traditional communities hail from and are domiciled in the Kunene, Oshodonjupa, Erongo, and Omaheke regions of Namibia, respectively, and not in Aminuis.
Ombarando nda unokutwako pamweno vat na nwaba wa abehe mara isa nao uka huko kushavi shinga veli nao vatula motu kondwa peke peke nungwali kavatule vamongwa na rukondoro maheke porwe uli.
All these traditional leaders and their traditional community members are residents of these regions by birth.
O vananemba mbado nokutwake wamba no vana nwabao oba tulevehi ndipo bo tukondwa umuve tulira twaho nungwa oba tule mbaetwa iyo ngwatero mu bakotero mo usabiriro batule utukondwa.
They did not emigrate to these regions from Aminuis at any given time.
Kavandu mbashinda okuda ko mungwa okuye kutula ko tukondwa hikako kashiperi.
And since I was appointed, I have never transported these followers of mine to these other regions from Aminuis.
Nunandali lenga nambadano kudhikamisiwa kochi haveroi. Hinapumba atwilika omandumba okupidha motukondwa peke peke hikako kashiperi.
They were there already.
Owa walimbo Rukoro.
So how can it be alleged that Rukoro wants to expand his jurisdiction to other regions?
Nunambano ongwaye sipekaro makubiri nokushabi Rukoro ubanga okuparanga motukondwa twarwe ingomana nenowe.
Clearly, it is an unfortunate remark devoid of any truth, and it must be rejected as such.
Shiri ochinahimu munugo kushabi omahingiriro pothio nungwalika ena washiri yeso kuna kaurwa kaparuka dewi.
Director of Ceremonies, we are in Okahanja.
Tulimo Okahanja dino.
I have chosen Okahanja for my administrative office and for this event for the following reasons.
Kusha ali lebupakara omberoyo waherero nene yomana neno wao menaro madebanga.
And also for this event today.
Na wina rukwao ali lemwe kukalera ochichitwa hinohi sheyubandino ndijimatu muchimunuhi.
For the following reasons.
Mena romadebanga kumetwa komba.
For its centrality and equidistance to all the regions where I have followers.
Menaro kushavi oruwele nduli mondibitivi nuwina avehe kudako tukondwa peke peke kumawe nena kubado upupu imba wotukondwa mumbina nena.
Historically, it has been the capital administrative center of the Ovaherero people and the Ovambanderu people.
Na wina rukwao mekuruhungi onjali ombero nene yomana neno womuhoko Ovaherero no Ovambanderu.
It is where almost all the Ovaherero and Ovambanderu paramount chiefs are buried, and where their followers annually come to remember them and to commemorate their heroism.
Nuwina rukwao omumwa subisiwa indo bambaradao no ombura okubeya okuyekuya njondengero nonjodikiro kuwo.
Okahanja to the Ovaherero and Ovambanderu is like what Windhoek is to the Namibian people.
Okahanja kochi wanajowaherero no sho Ovambanderu ili shina ochuhuro chacho mwise ko mananeno wehire tupoko bandu wa Namibia.
It is like what London is to the English, Berlin is to the Germans, Moscow is to the Russians, Paris is to the French, Washington is to the Americans, and Jerusalem is to the Jews and the Arabs.
Okahanja keri shina o London na kwa Ingiriza, keri shino Berlin na kwa Ndoishi, keri shino Moscow kwa Rutha, keri shina o Perisa kwa Fransose, wina rukwao, keri shino o Washingtona kwa Amerika, na wina shino Jerusalema kwa Yuta no bara pashiushuku.
We do not only have a historical but also a cultural and spiritual connectivity to Okahanja.
Ete katuna kuruhungi porwe ndiri kuno Okahanja na ngwali wina rukwao tunombavu novombe podo bati dutu nado kuna oshirongo cha Okahanja hinohi.
Okahanja ongumbiro yo Ovaherero.
Okahanja is the spiritual center of the prayers of the Hereros.
Okahanja is the central hero's acre of the Ovaherero and the Ovambanderus.
Okahanja okukeri echo rodombande loshiwana chovaherero novambanderu.
Okahanja is where the spirit and the soul of the Ovaherero and the Ovambanderu resides.
Okahanja okupenda odombepo lovaherero no dovambanderu puda dikama pude basewa no pude turira.
Let our detractors take note. Nobody and no force can keep us away from Okahanja. Not now, not in future.
Alikana nandalile mbowe tupirule no betu tuwange okututukutura ngawe twaelele na wako kushavi kapena shina shima shitu epitha no kahanja kaparu kadeuriji.
Here we draw the line.
Shiri imbamatu na no mukoka kama atururuma mundambina uriji.
Tell your bosses that.
Alika na petwaelele na wako waona wenu.
To change our administrative center from one place to another, like from Amunis to Okahanja, still within the borders of the same country called Namibia, is nothing new.
Okutanaura omananeno wetu okuisako mungu kuyeta kwa Kahanja ngunda tuli mugoto wa Namibia kashino chipe nuka hukumithe kako.
It has happened all over the world before.
Ochinajija chitwa mouye korutenga kawete butulo batenga kako.
In fact, even here in Namibia, the former capital city of Yoshikoto region was Tsumeb, but was changed to Omuthia.
Nandalile muweme kote hiretu mo Namibia mwi ochihuro hongola chorukonora shikoto yaroshumea okabisume posi okushabi chatanaulwa dino ndi lashindisiwa veri komuthia ipundi.
The former capital of Nigeria was Lagos, but changed to Abuja.
O capital apo chihuro hongola cha Nigeria yaro Lagosa posi okusha tanaulwa aitwaliwa ko Abuja.
In Germany, Bonn was changed to Berlin.
Mehiro wando ishi ombona yatanaukira ko Berlin.
In Israel, Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Mo Israela yaro Tel Aviva aitanaukire ko Jerusalema.
In Brazil, Rio de Janeiro to Brasilia, etc., etc.
Ko Brazila watanauko kula ko Rio de Janeiro awei ko Brasilia nai. Omahi peke ngashita nao na nao.
All these cities did not only change in names, but also in distances of hundreds and thousands of kilometers from the original sites.
Obichitwa bipo bihurombi kavita nauli romana ulidikako posibya tanaura okula korubere upeno mikato mingi byodo kilo ndahanika okuda ko chihuro hina okuyenda kuhina.
So, Madam Minister, what is wrong about me and the Ovaherero stating in our application where we would like to operate from, namely Okahanja?
Alikana Minister Henendu hapo shinachichiro chivikwami oshikena shitwa tanaura obananeno wetu okuisako ko mongwa tuyete mujihuro cha Kahanja.
Do our government and I have to spend and waste money over this issue by battling it out in the courts only because some self-misguided anti-Rukoroists want to restrict the Ovahereros to Aminuis?
Siri hapo oshinahi horomende yetu na ami ochina putusokuda atuhara chini amatu nakaulo bimaliwa byetu amatu itisa mo muronga ulili tukanyone menaro kushabi ngahino peno bandu mbewanga ko kushabi pekaro ndrumbata chapo twende ko yombanguliro amatu menaro kushabi peno bandu kani mbehawanga Rukoro opuma yangere ko kushabi ka tutorwe tukahundulirwe mukahukike kamongwa.
Until when will our government listen to this type of anti-Ovaherero propaganda?
Nuchiri shiri malire ngaru ne ohoro mende yetunji shima ipuratene ne kutwi kwa peke ko shimbumba hichi chukara okuyeta omapopa wokupirura omanane no hona pale Ovaherero.
We say anti-Ovaherero because the views of less than a 5% minority cannot forever be used to oppress and suppress the rights of more than 95% of the people.
Matushana menaro kushavi shiri okambumba kukeno do presende ndano kama ke chitwako kushavi odo ndungedao no umune wao alile mbwa ungulisiwa kokunikida no kutatumisa ochimbumba chichino do presende ndeli kombanda o mirongo muyuna ndano.
Do we still live in a democracy?
Hapo chiri ngana ituhupa mouyo uyarapo inde.
Our government must get out of the bedrooms of minority tribal groups who are busy sowing seeds of discontent in the knowledge that Big Brother is behind them. Horomende
yetu alikananga idemo modombotu po modonjiwo domara do vandu ovatiko na moshivarero mbekala pokuyeta ombepo ombiku njitwara kokushavi ngahino yenenife odondero do vandu kaani ngahino mbero mano manene mbeango kushadene nisiwe noku ihamisa oshuanga chibahire.
If our government is unwilling to address this uncalled for provocation and injustice, the time will surely come when the ancestors of the oppressed, right here in Okahanja, will hear our pleas.
Chondo do horomende yetunji kaina kupura tena keraka raimba ovatatumisi wamba oruvede maruya odombepo do bativetu shiri pumadese kama shinene oruvede shinandu putulindura Okahanjanpi na de tupuratene ochakwete butuna mumaturu era karondero ngombe njita tumisiwa.
Let me declare here in public that I was duly appointed by the majority of the Ovaherero traditional leaders, representatives at Ehungiro, to represent the interest of all the Ovaherero people throughout the whole world, and not just my supporters.
Kurame bibetopo na wauka hundi nondiko kushavi ami badikamisi wa hiyo shimbumba shovana ne Ovaherero no bakurame nepo wodombara peke ke hungiro kokushavi mbina no shiwanga Ovaherero achihe mo uparanga webaverwa nungwali kari kokushavi menana imbaberi obanjarubara kwa miporo yuri.
And I shall do so in much the same way. Our government is a government of all the Namibian people and not just of and or no for the members of the SWAPO ruling party.
Nami wina meshiti nao shina ohoromende yetu njitu na yonji shiri ohoromende yovandu avehe vana Namibia nungwali chihero horomende yovanja rubara uliri kochira SWAPO.
The Ovaherero people are one and indivisible, and in my paramountcy there shall be no dichotomy between my Hereros as if distinct from those of other Hereros.
Ochiwana Ovaherero ishimwe nuka maashi enene okunyanya uropo kuhanewa po katika paruka de uliri. Nuwina ke hiyo unane wanje machikara na uliri kapena kukara ombangu po Ovaherero oshunda sholibe no sholibe kako.
To the Ovaherero people in the diaspora, let me repeat it to you. The Overhero people are one and indivisible, and I'm here to represent all of them, regardless of where they are on earth.
Meanga kumura isira na wako kushabi kwenye mbabu mutulira mu mawuyo penje ochiwana chobaherero ishimwe no kamachi haneka po kamachi hane wakaparuka de uliri nami mekaonja ko mulungu no kumukuramena po kaina chako kushabi ngahi no mulipi mo paranga waide baberwa.
And in that regard, I shall vigorously pursue the effort of my master, my mentor, and our late Paramount Chief, Dr. Kwaimari Rukoro.
No, menara nao, amimeka onja ko murungu no utwe, okukaonjitha ondando, ndaka onjithiwa iyo munji ulikere wonjira, ngwejikero njira, wina rukwao, ngwenji ngwenji pa o unongo momananeno ombara omuyaruke oshitambi Dr. Kwaimari Rukoro,
who told some of us before he passed on that he would discuss with the local leaders in the diaspora and their respective governments, together with the NAMA leadership, the idea of having the Chiherero and NAMA languages also recognized as legitimate languages of the Herero and Nama citizens of these countries, and with a view to having them taught in their schools.
Neyewe pehingira ukahuche raera kwa banane, imba betulira mu mahyo mararanga ndako kushabi, eye mahingire kuno banane wodohoro mende, indadenane na mu mahingo, o mu betulira kokusha, erakaro chikwena, noro chiherero, yeriro maraka, nguma hongwa mu mahyo mararanga ndango, owo mu atulira.
This was out of the realization that the German colonialism in this country also committed a cultural genocide against some of our people in some parts of Botswana and in South Africa.
Yochinahi echingirire menaro kushabi ohulire injinja chitwa iyo bando ishi kombanda obandu betu yarohulire wina rukwao nja nyona ponja tukutura ombadu yomihoko byetu kundino ndimbi tulira mehira nashawana na South Africa.
I realized this when I attended the cultural gathering at Omawane Noni Tsabong in Western Botswana in September last year.
Amoshinahi bekeshi muno muni simba kakara po malemurukiro wochichitwa jomuka ndi ombadu mbwaliko mawane no moshawana morukondwa ro mamuho ro utokero wehirashawana.
When I had a wish to say something in Chiherero to my people, but could not, as they all would not understand. What a painful experience.
Amishirimba ngokukakara nondero nandalire okupotha embolimwe poku hokora kuna opoku bepembo lokube tunduza merakaro Chiherero pothi okukushabi amimbe kamuna kokushabi kapena umwo wa ngomadu kaparu kadeuri chiri hapo chinahi kachino chi hamise no chitetarise chomunyo omundu shuwa muna komeho hii.
One of them is one of our great leaders.
Omunane wetu ngulimba omunene.
He's here with us today, Chief Bimbo from Botswana.
Bimbo wama waneno ulimba yeruruka
Chief.
Tuleteka mukai tuwa kubodi. Mbarenjo Bimbo.
He's a proud Herero man.
Una omutonga tima kuliro mu lumendo muherero.
But he can't speak a word Chiherero.
Kenambo nali mwende hingira ro Chiherero kaparukazi.
Thanks to German colonialism and what they did in this country to our ancestors.
Oko hepari kwinjo hulire njashitwa iyo bando ishi na bibi washita kwa wanene wetu wachashima muwe bunu nao.
It's one of our traditional leaders right there.
Yumwe wabambara veri kehirasha wana vetungo.
I was deeply touched and greatly encouraged by His Excellency President Ian Khama Seretse-Khama of the Republic of Botswana.
Amishiri mbayorokisiwa iyo muna newe hirasha wana Ian Khama Seretse-Khama,
when he said at the same gathering that his government will do everything in its power to assist our people there to develop their culture.
Ne wahingira nawo kahuko kushabi ohoromende ye mayungura osapuma yenene okukutu okusha ibatere oshiwana shetu okudhikamisa nokukongomogisa ombadhu yao.
We shall forever be grateful to the Botswana government and people.
Chiri matu yanja oru ya metoro kuhepa kohoromende ashawana no vandu wayo.
I hope that the German government will assist by funding this venture for the sake of our people in the diaspora to learn these two languages, Chiherero and Nama, so that they can regain their lost culture. That's the least the German government can do.
Amiwina shiri me ango kusha ngahino porumo horomende yovando ishi mape ya ivatere kokushabi iyanje koshia shimaliva chokusha abandu betu mbamberi mu mahyo mararanga ndamba benene okuhonga omaraka wao oro chiherero noro shikwena kokusha vekotole ombadhu yao njia panjara mu rubedentwi.
The late Paramount Chief Rirwako has left us with some unfinished business also. And one of them is the issue of the Ovaherero and the Nama genocide in reparation.
Ombaroshi tambi Ovaherero Dr. Kwaima Rirwako wetwetha no shunguro shinene chiche hina indisha manuka no shimwe shobyungurambi ochisuta shombindu yomuhoko obakwena no Ovaherero mbata moshitiro oshinjanja.
I shall continue with this issue with first and foremost our own government and see if we could reach a reasonable mutual accommodation on this highly emotive issue.
Ami meka onja komurungu no shunguraho nuru tenga matu hakaene no horomende yetu njiri maukote hindi no opume konjo kutarako kushabi ngahi no porumwe matu ye kuhitasana atububasana komputiro kushabi matu chiungurabi
in how to approach the German government.
No kushabi nambano matu enenevi okuhakaina kuno horomende yowando ishi moshindahi.
I shall also knock at the door of the German government directly.
Na wina meka kongora omuvero ohoromende yowando ishi ongarate uriri na upitira mundu waro
to seek a mutually acceptable and reasonable accommodation.
Kokushabi tupahe ongaro themba maukurathane no maunguliro wakumwe.
I want to be on record that the Ovaherero, Ovambanderu and the Nama descendants who are in the diaspora have a legitimate and automatic right to be part of any discussion on this issue.
Amemeango kupeka hurura na wauka huko kushabi Ovaherero Novambanderu Novakwena mberi mu mahyo mararanganda beno uthemba no rupe wina okukarana ro mochihungiriro po munga mwa chindachihe chimache kutuna ko chitiro uko chisuta che chitiro chinjanjahi.
Because had it not been for the extermination orders of General von Trotha, which led to their forebears to flee to Botswana and South Africa, they would not have been born there.
Menaro kushabi andakuru karambo rafon trota andako ndoro kushabye muhoko ngawiyandekwe obanene bao kashabenena okakwaterwa mu mahyo mararanganda orashawana na South Africa.
There are those here in Namibia and elsewhere who are asking us, we are not a government. Why do we want to sit down with sovereign governments and discuss this issue?
Tendo bandu shiba obakwetu mokote hindi bejabi ete katuhoromende nongwa echituwango kushabi ete tukahame puno dohoromende ndenana omahi okuhingira ochina shochitiro shinyanjai.
Well, we say this will not be the first time that it will happen. It has happened before.
Ete tushabi kashikando shitenga ochichitwa hamukwana iho kushitwa shachitwa korutenga.
It happened before when the governments of Germany and Israel allowed a non-sovereign Jewish representation to participate in the Brussels reparations agreements for the Jewish Holocaust in 1952.
Ojinahi chachitwa ohoromende injo ya Israela pamweno horomende ovando ishi chiva anjero wa yuuta behero horomendo shimbumba sho wa yuuta ocho muhoko weka hame mo chihingiriro chichakaeta onduwa thaneno yomburanjo 50 na mbali jaka hame na ko
Brussels.
Jaka hame na ko Brussels
in 1952.
Omburanjo 1952.
They were a non-sovereign group, but an affected group.
Owandumba kabare oshimbumba chichinana pothiaro shimbumba chichatunwa iyo chitiro chinjanja.
We are not discussing development aid state to state. That is between Namibia and Germany.
Ete katuna kuhingira ombate ronjikara pokati komahi uwachina chichiri pokati kehira Namibia nehiro bando ishi.
We are discussing reparations resulting from and pursuant to the extermination orders that were issued in 1904 and 1905 against the Overhereros and the Namas of this country by German authorities, that we must be wiped out from the face of the earth. Therefore, as representatives of the two affected communities, it is our business to sit at the negotiating table and speak ourselves on behalf of our own people. We are capable to speak for ourselves. And we shall do so.
Ochinachitu paha ochithuta chombindi omuhoko mbwata nochithuta hii chaetwa hiyo marambo oindi oronora noine indi ndalimbo polombudo bindi mbando rafon trota na indi oronora nondano ndakashitirwa kehiro hongwena kucho mihokombi owo baherero ndo bakwena ngabibandekwe kombanda ebaberwa eto chinachitu cherabi ete mbuto ahupa konje mbonji yakashibisho wanga ngatuliro munepo ko kuhingirira ko chithuta chombindi omuhoko mbwatambwi menaro kushabi ete twainena tunoulithirira okulihungirira poveni.
We are not asking for compensation resulting from general damages because of the occupation or colonialism by Germany in general. We are asking for reparations resulting from the act of genocide, which is a crime against humanity.
Ete katuningiro chithuta ngahino menaro kushabi ete twekuhulwa poto mwekunyonoko binamo ukotehiretu kako ete tuningiro chithuta chochitiro ochinjanja chichalamede bandari kamithiwa mochiveta komuhoko wetu kokucha uyandekwe.
Therefore,
ochinahi chiri ojiro njaka honene moundu wobandu nuchinene ochomuhoko.
Therefore, to be at the negotiating table ourselves is a non-negotiable matter of principle. It cannot be about us without us.
Ete okukerikulamena pono kuhingirira koshinahi kwete ochomuhoko kachina chitu so kujanga hino matuhingirire kopo matuningire kushachike kama pekaro chihingiriro ohunga naete etoveni atuheripo.
Fellow Namibians, the other day Pope Francis of the Catholic Church came out strongly in support of the Armenian people by referring to their ordeal at the hands of Turkey as the first genocide of the 20th century.
Vandu wetu wakwatera wa Namibia omuhongo munene amba mushomu popa omupapa ochuru chombongo yo katolika wahingiriro ukahuli liko kushabi ovalminiena imbambata monje mbonji moteki ochichalo chitiro ochitenga no chiyaukithe chicha chitwa methero ondo ndoroma yobi yebari.
Whilst he was of course correct to call their plight genocide, he was most certainly wrong in calling it the first genocide of the 20th century.
Ngunda alinawa shima twapo iwo chitiroho watata idhireno kanyothe ingo gushabi eashe o chitiro o chitenga chicha chitwa methero ondon o chitiro chinjanja o chitenga chicha chitwa methero ondon.
As we all know very well, the first genocide of the 20th century took place on African soil, right here in Namibia, committed against us, the Overherero and Namas, during 1904 to 1908. The war of extermination waged by the forces of Imperial Germany with intent to wipe us from the face of the earth, not in Europe.
Arikana ponambo peshu kwa nawa kokushabi o chitiro chinjanjo chitenga chethero ondo cha chitiro mu Afrika nohoru kwa mu Afrika porwe uliringa hino cho Afrika cha chitiro muno mwimehire tundinondi chicha chitwa ko baherero no chiwa nasho bakwena okuda mumbura njo nora no ine ngatuko nora no hambo ndatu chicha etwera ambora range nora luta fontrota chachavi ochiwana shetu ngashiwa ndekwe nashika karapo kombanda youye.
We call upon the representatives of our Catholic Church here in Namibia to kindly and urgently advise the Vatican of this grave and material misstatement of historical fact, as well as to equally solicit the support of the Vatican in similarly declaring what happened to our ancestors during 1904 to 1908 as genocide and a crime against humanity.
Ete matu anga kuningira obakura menepo wokereka yetu yo katolika mberi mokote hindino ndiko kushabi vekonje okudemburukitha kokushabi o mananeno wao kuyena neno mondiwitivi ko Vatikana wa Roma yetanda ule o ulide mburukano mbepo okushabi o chitiro shetu o chitiro chitenga chicha chitwa nuwina rukwao vetu tuporu vararo kushabi o chitiro hi kuyanjo ruvara nuchimunike kokusha o chitiro o chinjanja nuchicha chitwa mokunyona nokuihamitha ongaro youndu kuimbo muhoko poko mihoko yetu.
Colleagues, we call the Overherero Traditional Authority, we will continue to call upon the German authorities to stop practicing selective and double morality.
Ete ojo unane wohona pareo manane no Overherero matuningire oromende yobando ishi kokushabi iyandithe okukala nongaro doutihu no kunyanda omirungu bibali mbichita.
They cannot accept that what happened to the Armenian people constitute genocide, but that what they did to the Ovaherero and the Namas is not genocide.
Kama apea awe akura kokushabi obinambia chitwa kwa Armenia yali oshitiro chinjanja potimbia chitwa kwa Ovaherero no bakwena ka chitiro chinjanja.
Is it because the one event took place on European soil and the other one took place on African soil?
Hapo mapehe kokusha ochitiro hina charimo mahiwa Europa ihi ndino ndi chachitwa mu Africa poinde.
If that's the case, that is naked international racism, which is unacceptable in this modern day and age, and which in and by itself constitutes yet another crime against humanity.
Ojinaho kujo chini uliri shiri omundu mohingire ulibo ujabi shiri ochina chima chichitwa po ruhaera kokushabi obechua shitinao irire kokushabi ombangu yo muhoko njimo shiti mondondo yo uye menaro kushabi ochina jijiha kurwa moyo akandino ndi nuwina rukwao kama ashie neno kuyanjerwa ocho chini machira isako kushabi ongaro haderwa ndu nuwina njima ishitwa koundu nongaro yo undu kuimba ngahino mbata murubedemu.
We therefore demand an unqualified apology from the highest political officers in Berlin for the crime of genocide committed against our people. This is long overdue. We demand it now and before the 2nd October 2015, when von Trotter's extermination order will be 111 years old.
Nunai matu peningire ulipo matu ningire kokushabi horomende yobando ishi ihindo mkuramene po wao wochiha chokombanda kuningira onjesiro kwimbibi bashita okudepa omuhokombwi ochitiro chinjanja chonyoneno njasanango nuwina matu shiti matu ningire kokushabi obinambi bishitwe ngunda shieli ebali komwedo usha murongo alihieya yubandi malie kuchita kokushabi erambo lishite odombule there rimwe no murongo na imwe.
We equally demand an acknowledgement in principle by the German government now and before the 2nd October 2015 that they are amenable to pay the two affected communities compensation for the genocide committed against our ancestors. Details and modalities can be the subject of trilateral discussions involving us and our two governments.
Nunai noho matu peningire kokushabi ohoromende yobando ishi iyakure mombutiro kokushabi shiri mabe tusutu ochisuta ngunda ehachita ebali ko Oktoba mombula njinonji menaro kushabi imbyo byarwe yokushabi ngahino matu sutasanabi kwiho chitiro chinjanja chiba chitako mihoko byetu ko mamano otate ko banene betu omihoko byebali Ovaherero no bakwena imbyo mabikahingirirwa kombunda inongwali mumombutiro nga byakuleko kushabi mabe tusutu sadumba tukahame pamwe horomende yetu no bandu ishi na eto beni imba mbutwa ta.
Fellow Namibians, if these modest and reasonable demands, and you just heard, they are just two, if they cannot be entertained by the 2nd October this year, Germany and others must take full responsibility for the way in which the current and future generations of our people are going to assert their rights after October.
Alikane watengwatu novoserekade matu ango kulingirako kushavi matu ango kuperaisa na wako kushavi o maningiriro wetunga nuka maningiriro mengi to o maningiriro bina bibali ulili ko kushavi beya kule nube shindo ulilira kubyo chibe hachitiro nako kyakulo maningiriro ngo ebalinga ohoro mende obando ishi maishi ndo ulilira ohoromende obando ishi no dohoromende darwe rukwao made shindi oulilira wokutora wokunakaulwa iyo muhokombwi obona mbano chimaurumba okuyenda kodonde kurona no donde kurona chimaupaha outhemba kwimbimbya chitwa kuwo.
Our claims will not go away.
Omaningiriro wetu wochisutaka erukoka parukade
nor will they expire.
Nuina rukwao kaena kuyanda.
If anything, because of your intransigence, they will become more expensive for your children.
Nu chiri chipehero sinacharwe menaro uti huwe numbwi ona mbana maka onja ko murungu na erondo okukalirira kondiru mwingo maningiriro chisutanga nguma etanauka aekaronda nganduko banashebenu.
And German-Namibian relations will be redefined forever.
Nuwina rukwao ongaro njikara pokati kehiro bando ishi no bandu ba Namibia maihe pago kushabi ngahino itana urumano warwe.
Those relations will be anything but excellent.
Nungwari imyomabikara nawa
anything but excellent.
Mabikara ochina
will not be excellent anymore.
Kama bikara nawa shondo badungahino ochithutahi kashiere.
I have so many other things that are way up on my priority list that I shall not be able to enumerate them all in my statement today.
Amibino vingi bibina vyoso londando lanje mo mananenonga posio kusha hinene nisa okubitwa pombapira no kubieta kwende ndinondi.
Like the issues of education,
Shina ochinacho mahongero,
health,
ochinacho uweruke,
abject poverty,
ochinacho usiona,
the neglect of my people in their traditional areas,
ngaro njimbira hiwa ponji tumwandu wetu mo tukondomu wetu lira
without adequate or totally no infrastructures worthy of any meaningful appreciation.
Pupe hina obiungulisiwa obiwa bibabe hetero ombwiro
and so on and so on.
Novina obikwao.
However, one of them I will mention.
Nongwali peno shina shimwe amishime twako mbanai.
And this is the last one.
No china ochiteni na shime twapo.
This is about my vision.
Ochina shime twapo hungano ndando yanje.
And unwavering intention to restore the dignity and pride of the Ovairero people wherever they are.
Shinene meango kutwapo ondando yokushabi mbikotore outonga no kuhina kuibaiba komuhoko baherero
by setting ourselves the objective of becoming the Jews of Namibia.
No meango kutwapo kokushabi ete tuyekulira ochihorera shina shoba yuta mo Namibia
in the key areas of the economy, technology, education and training.
Shinene motu kondwa otu nandengushina orongorongo ba ro unongo bimemwa omahongero wina rukwao no mekulisiro mwimbi obebiungura.
I want us to do so by focusing on empowering ourselves economically and financially.
Meanga kushatushite nao indi chimatu yenene oku litunga omongorongoba nombwiko yetu oveni.
By relying on our own efforts and resources as a people in the first place.
Atuyenene okungulitha ounongo wetu no chitiko na chitu nasho ocho muhoko.
This we can and shall do by supporting the All Over Herero Development Fund, which we have established and which have clearly defined aims and objectives, and which are subjected to the principles of modern day accounting and auditing.
Sinene meanga kushavi nai tuyanje oruyameto kochikesa chombwiko yomuhoko chomekulithiro chichadhikama nai chimatu hingire nai chichiripo chichatwapo dondando dombwa odongahu bouye wakandino nuwina rukwao ochikesa cheshimaliva chichinano muyo wakandino pupekara omakondononeno no matalero mambo.
It is in the form of a trust fund account with the First National Bank in Windhoek.
Ochikesa chimatu hingire nai chichiri chichapatulurwa kombanga njoka mbuku mamwishi wanu njenjanana njisanwa kusha OFNB.
It is separate from the operational account of your Herero Traditional Authority, which is at Standard Bank Namibia.
Nochikesa chichahanika kuna ihi chomaka onjisiro viungura vyouhona pale vyeyuvanganuke yuva oyo ochikesa ho chichiri kombanga njo Standard Bank.
Preliminary and very conservative indications suggest that very modest and voluntary monthly contributions by only 2,000 of our young employed supporters will yield no less than 5 million Namibian dollars by the end of next year in this fund.
Kutwako ulio okanakemo ochikorongo ushavi ochimaliva hi chicha nino kuyanjwa uliliyo wana chevetu ndogo dito nambo wawamba abetu pora ndo mayovie bali ulili chiri mombula njima yende shima yiko chicha nino kuyanjwa iyo wana chevetu o mayovie bali mbeungura mombula njima yende shima yanda matukara no mangete etano.
This does not include sales of donated livestock per year by our farmers or donations from well-meaning business personalities, NGOs, and nations who support our cause.
Imbiga parukale ulili katuna kutwamo shimaliva ihinga hinochima shiruko manjero rondana indana indianjo iyo watu tabetu noshimaliva chichida moandu peke chivedera okieta kombwikonji.
We can even double this figure because we have more than 2,000 youngsters who work. And we are talking of modest contributions of between $50 to $100.
Mape ya shimaliva hii ashieruruka no matha menaro kusha tunovandu vetu ovengi wanashe vetu mitanda mbeungura neto shimaliva shimatu hingirireko ngahi nomeri yanjerero mundu shanjo dondoro 50 o dondoro ethereri mwe ochimatuya pokamaliwa kukete kimbo muuro dombura mbali dando madeyando.
I'm not going to lead a nation of beggars.
Aminena na oshiwana chichiro chiningire.
We've never been one.
Nuka tuna indi twalinao kudakororowa.
I know that the German war of 1904 to 1908 not only destroyed 80% of our people, but it also resulted in our wealth of land and livestock being expropriated without compensation.
Aimeshwa kushavi onjembo yaka shivisho wanga kaitu depere porwe ulili na aide pangu atukahe nuko shivalero ngahi netu depa pere sendo milongo hambo ndatu posio kushavi noho rukwao vetuye kehi o vetuye kowini wetu ombunyinga nyinga na mboha nyinga okujembo utumbe o wehi novina munyo vyetu abetu ethenao mohulire nja.
I know that they destroyed our culture, our way of life. In fact, our physique was destroyed for a whole century.
Our psyche rather. Wamesho wina Rukoro vetude pano watukuturomba yetu na ndalile ombuniko yetu no ulile mburuka shiva mwete wapanjara.
But this leadership is determined to start laying the foundations for future of our hero generations to reassert their pride and to become and be known as the Jews of Namibia.
Pothio gokushabi o nanembwi mutu na ombwi uli kamohanuma kaonja ko mulungu gokushabi ukotole nutu dikamise gokushabi tulile obayuta china obayuta bana tulile obayuta bana Namibia okusha obana ngorongo babo wombwiko yo matha njima ikotola mo ulile mburuka othemba mu muhoko wetu.
With your help we can do it.
Nomba tero yedu matu yenino kushita.
Are you ready for that journey? Samuel Maharero's strategic retreat into Botswana ensured that von Trotter's extermination order did not succeed.
Samuel Maharero omwanomba tupuko kwenda koshawana chatauli rango washita nawa okushitonga hukiro kushabi amuneko kushabi omandekero weze bara von Trotter kalina kuyenena okuula.
Hosea Kutako, apart from the many roles he played during and immediately after the German war, he internationalized the Namibian struggle which led to our independence.
Ombara Hosea Kutako, penjeno viungula vyaro mbia ungula mokoto wa Namibia, washita kokushavi ohulire yehira Namibia, ivarwe mondondo youye.
Kwai Mariwako, or Clemens Kapuo, he played a key role in planting the initial seeds of national reconciliation during a very difficult period in the history of our country.
Ombara Clemens Amuturunge Kapuo, washito shina hepero, shokueta mongwaneno, no makurathane no muhoko wetu, okushauka wanje pamwe, mohangi.
Kwai Mariwako will forever be remembered for spearheading the genocide movement and reparations claim against the German government.
Ombara kwa Mariwako ositambi wina Rukoro made mburukwa kokushavi eyo watombade kepoha rokuningira ochithuta chombidi omuhokombwi shwa to chinjanja kehiro kuno wandoishi.
In this context, the nation will never forget the return of the human skulls from Germany in 2011.
Mumunyoshinge wongwi ochiwanahika maashide mbi omakotorero obiuru biadako kehiro wandoishi momburanjo mayoye balino murongo na imwe.
As well as the return of the Botswana of Herero and of Banderu with their cattle, descendants of those who fled from Trotter's war of extermination.
Na wina Rukoro omakotorero wabaherero no Banderu okudako shawana mbako toka no vina munyo vyao odongombe na abihe okudango omudugona kudembako kako.
It is now your and my turn to make history by committing ourselves to the economic empowerment and emancipation of the Ovaherero and Ovambaderu during our lifetime. Are you ready?
Nambano owete na ove kokushabi tutomunwe kembo kokushabi tunyo kongomo kise ongorongoba yomuho kongwi ikurame kodombale nushiri mamuli anjere.
If you are say yes we can.
Chimamucha hii matu sitinao.
Yes we can. Yes we can.
Hii matu sitinao.
Yes we shall overcome.
Hii matu eneno kutona.
I thank you.
Okwepa.
Okwepa.